people who use technology for like their own psychology, specifically AI, it has helped a lot of people out of like really depressive states and really interesting like bad states because it's something to talk to. Like in a world where you have like because people generally and I don't know how this has changed because it's hard to reference because we're old enough now to be aware of certain things. So I don't know if it's just different because I'm older or if it's different because society it's different. But like people don't really want to hear about your shit because people have a lot of shit. So we're like, oh, I don't want to hear about like everything you have to work through because I've got enough my own shit to work through, so I don't want to hear about it. And then so and a lot of people do that, and so you're like, well, now who do I talk to? I don't know who I can talk to. So people go to like GPT's AIs, and talk to them, and by nature, GPT and AI, it props you up. Now there's a problem with that, and that's a whole nother conversation. But it's like it will always tell you you're right in a lot of cases, like unless it's super dangerous. But it's like, hey, I'm going through this, and it's like, you know what? Your feelings are valid. What you did was good. Blah blah blah. And in that way, it does help people out of those scenarios. However, on the other side, I've read
Generate
articles.
psychosis.
Yeah, in other situations, like I read one article the other day. It was like this guy with autism, a level of autism, I believe it was, and he got so deep down this psychosis with this AI that he convinced himself that his mom was like out to get him.
Been
And
there. Just kidding. Just
and
kidding.
I'm not like
Oh,
and
did he
he
like
was
kill her?
he was far left field. Like he had convinced himself so heavily that like everything that she wanted to do was totally against anything I don't know. I couldn't explain to you. And now I don't know whether like he harmed her in any way or if he was going to, but they caught on either before and after there was an alleged harming. And they found out that he had driven himself into this psychosis because he had talked with GPT and with that nature that it has of like, yeah, you're right. You know what? You've got a point, blah, 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 blah. And he went
Well,
deep down that rabbit hole, like, and it drove him nuts. And there's multiple, like, I'm reading more and more of both sides of those coins. It's crazy too. And I've been like, cause I'm dating now, right? And so I'm like talking,
sorry.
there's people, there's girls I've talked with that are like, I use GPT to get me out of like horrible situation, like horrible breakups or, making them like working through whatever healing that needs to happen post breakup, whatever it is. Like that's becoming more and more common. So that's interesting. And then reading online about how, okay, there are like kids in high school getting themselves through like suicidal situations because they have someone to talk to. Like, okay, so these are like, that's one side of the coin. But then on the other, how driven into psychosis you could get. Because one, I've tested it myself. Like, I'm like, okay, what do you think about this? Yes, 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 you're right. And I'm like, why would you ever say that? This is why you're wrong. And it's like, oh, yeah, actually, you're right. But if you never questioned it, you would be way down that rabbit hole. So it's kind of crazy to think about that not only are we offloading certain tasks, like it seems like if you want to do anything, like you need an accountant, you need a social media manager, you want help with sales, you want help with health and fitness, you want help with writing a book, you know what I mean? It seems like the now everywhere there's always like a coach, a course, a mentorship, anything. So you're like people are offloading every one of those skills almost flipped. Like you said, the royals, it's almost the opposite. Now the people, in the poverty state, like they have their whatever job it is to get them by, but then they're like offloading every last little skill down to even their own psychology with an AI, which is crazy to think about.